Rambam, Maimonides in the Chabad learning program, and I have a confession to make. I must confess that I was like this close to calling it quits on this thing because it is an extra heavy burden in addition to other things that I'm doing. And I was questioning the necessity of doing this particular form of learning, in addition to my other learning, which includes, as you might be aware of, the Daf Yomi and my studies on the Teku, from the book Teku, and other things. And I got a fresh dose of inspiration to continue and to carry on with the Rambam, Maimonides studying, as it's part of a daily study. Now, this section that we're covering now, as I mentioned, I started along with the new cycle, which started on Tu B'Shvat. And what was really interesting is that both cycles, they converged. It was a siyum and a starting of a new cycle for both the 1 chapter a day track and for the 3 chapter a day track. So that's pretty auspicious and pretty amazing, especially the fact that I didn't ask when it was going to start. It just came to me, and like the day that it started, it just showed up on my feed from a few different places. And so I thought that's a good sign to get on the bandwagon with the rest of Chabad Lubavitch with that they're learning Rambam. But on Friday, it was a short day, before Shabbat, and the daily learning in his listing of mitzvot, it was very long, and took to do it in 2 parts, and took like a half an hour or something. And then this one also is very long. This is the listing of the mitzvot, but after this, it's going to go on to his regular volumes of Yesodei Torah, like the books that he describes in these listings. So when I saw that, and I saw a few other signs came to me that showed me that it's a very worthwhile endeavor to stay on track. So at the same time, if I'm going to cover this portion, I'm going to be behind, and that's going to be, it's a burden. It's kind of like the burden to be behind. So I'll do a small portion of this every day until I get caught up. So this is listing the mitzvot, part 3, part 1. And it can have, 10, 20 parts. I'll spend 5 minutes doing this and then do the daily. So today's really day, the schedule is, it starts Hilchos Yesodei Torah today. But I'm a day behind. This should have been for Shabbat, for Saturday. So here we go. Listing the mitzvot, part 3, part 1. The book of ritual purity. Section 3, the division of the mitzvot. It consists of 8 halachot. They are in order. The laws of the ritual impurity imparted by a human corpse. The laws of the purification process involving the red heifer. The laws of the ritual impurity imparted by tzara'at. The laws of the sources of ritual impurity which impart impurity to the places where one sits and the places where one lies. The laws of the other categories of sources of ritual impurity. The laws of the ritual impurity contracted by foods. The laws of the ritual impurity contracted by vessels. And the laws of mikvaot. Okay? And the laws of the ritual impurity imparted by a human corpse. They contain 1 positive commandment. The laws of governing the ritual impurity imparted by a human corpse. Okay. The laws of the purification process involving the red heifer. Okay. They contain 2 positive commandments. They are 1, the law of the red heifer. 2, the laws involving the ritual purity and impurity imparted by the water that is sprinkled together with the ashes of the red heifer. The laws of the ritual impurity imparted by tzara'at, they contain 8 mitzvot, 6 positive commandments and 2 negative commandments. They are 1, to render judgments concerning tzara'at in humans as prescribed by the Torah. not to cut off the signs of tzara'at, not to shave a bald spot, that a person afflicted by tzara'at should make known his state of impurity by wearing torn clothing, letting his hair grow long, and covering his head. The purification process of a person afflicted by tzara'at, that a person afflicted by tzara'at should shave off all his hair as a part of his purification process. The laws of tzara'at in clothing, the laws of tzara'at in houses, the laws of the source of ritual impurity which impart impurity to places where one sits and the places where one lies. You can't see here. Mikvaot, damages. Okay, I'll go to Sefer Nezikin and then we'll stop there. Okay? Places where one lies. Okay? The laws and the sources of ritual impurity which impart impurity to the places where one sits and the places where one lies. Okay? They contain 4 positive commandments. They are the laws of impurity of the Nida state, the laws of the impurity of a woman after childbirth, the laws of the impurity of a Zava, the laws of the impurity of a Zav. The laws of the other categories of sources of ritual impurity, they contain 3 positive commandments. They are 1. The laws of the impurity imparted by an animal carcass. 2. The laws of the impurity imparted by a carcass or a crawling animal. By the carcass of a crawling animal. 3. The laws of the impurity imparted by human semen. These halachot also deal with the ritual impurity imparted by false gods and their accessories. This ritual impurity is equivalent to that imparted by the carcass of a crawling animal. It is a rabbinic injunction. The laws of ritual impurity contracted by foods, they contain 1 positive commandment. The laws of the impurity contracted by liquids and foods, and how it is impossible for them to regain ritual purity. Okay, the laws of the ritual impurity contracted by vessels. The intent of these laws is to know which vessels can contract the above mentioned impurities and which do not, and how the vessels contract and impart ritual impurity. All right, the laws of mikvaot, they contain 1 positive commandment, that all those who are impure should immerse themselves in the waters of a mikvah to regain purity afterwards. Thus, this book contains a total of 20 mitzvot, 18 positive commandments, and 2 negative commandments. All right, and that's where we'll stop for today to continue with the Book of Damages.